Beloved of the Lord, welcome to this Monday moment where heaven presses pause so your soul can breathe again. Have you felt the weight of a new week already tugging at your mind? This is not just another day on the calendar. This is a divine reset. And I want to know, what are you carrying into this week that God never asked you to hold? As this week opens its mouth before you, are your thoughts racing ahead, or are you ready to realign them with purpose? Today is about an atomic shift, small in appearance, explosive in impact. So tell me, what would change if your mind came into agreement with God's agenda right now? And as you're listening, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? Some of you woke up determined but distracted, faithful yet fatigued. Does that sound like you? What if this prayer becomes the moment your focus is restored and your inner clarity is sharpened for everything ahead? If that resonates, would you tap the like button as an act of expectation? This is the kind of prayer that refreshes your thinking and recalibrates your direction. So let me ask you, are you ready to release last week's noise and step into this week's authority? And who in your life needs this same refocusing? Will you share this with them so they don't walk this week alone? When you reset your mind before the week resets you, you are making a powerful declaration that circumstances will not be the author of your thoughts. Have you noticed how quickly Monday can try to dictate your mood if you don't take authority first? The week doesn't begin with emails, obligations, or pressure. It begins with what you allow to occupy your mind. So what have you been allowing to speak to you first thing in the morning? Too many people wake up already reacting instead of ruling, and that reaction slowly drains clarity. Have you felt your peace slipping before the day even started? When you choose to reset your mind, you interrupt patterns of stress and replace them with intentional alignment. Can you sense how different your day feels when you begin it on purpose instead of by accident? A mental reset is not denial, it is decision. Have you ever confused being strong with being silent about your thoughts? You are not ignoring reality, you are reordering it, placing truth above noise. What would happen if you decided today that anxiety doesn't get the first word anymore? Before the world demands your attention, your mind needs direction. Who or what usually gets your focus first on a Monday? When you don't reset, the week starts pulling you in 10 directions, and suddenly you're busy but not effective. Have you experienced that feeling of movement without progress? Resetting your mind means clearing the residue of yesterday. Are you still carrying conversations, disappointments, or worries from last week? Those unresolved thoughts quietly shape your expectations, and expectation influences outcome. So what outcome are you unconsciously preparing for right now? When your mind is cluttered, even simple decisions feel heavy. Have you noticed how fatigue increases when clarity decreases? A reset brings you back to center, reminding you that you were never meant to function from overwhelm. Can you feel the relief that comes when you give your thoughts permission to rest? Your mind is a gate, and whatever enters will eventually influence your direction. Are you guarding that gate or leaving it open to everything that passes by? A reset is an act of authority, not emotion, and authority requires intention. Are you willing to be intentional with your thoughts today? Sometimes the week doesn't defeat you. Your unfiltered thinking does. Have you ever realized that the pressure felt stronger than the problem itself? When you reset your mind, you shift from emotional reaction to strategic response. What decisions would change if you responded instead of reacted? A reset reminds you who you are before reminding you what you have to do. When was the last time you affirmed your identity before checking your responsibilities? When identity is clear, assignment becomes manageable. Can you see how confidence rises when confusion is removed? If you don't pause to reset, the noise accumulates. Have you noticed how mental noise steals joy even in productive moments? Resetting is how you silence unnecessary voices so the right one can guide you. What voice has been too loud in your mind lately? Your thoughts are either feeding your faith or draining your strength. Have you paid attention to which one they're doing right now? A reset helps you replace survival thinking with purpose-driven focus. What would shift this week if your thoughts were aligned with intention instead of fear? When you reset your mind, you create space for clarity to emerge. Do you sense that clarity is what you've been missing, not effort? You don't need more hours in the day. You need alignment in your thinking. What if this week flows not because it's easy, but because your mind is settled? The power of a reset is that it gives you access to calm authority. Have you ever noticed how peace changes the way you speak, move, and decide? From that place, the week no longer feels like a burden, but a territory to steward. Are you ready to approach this week from authority instead of anxiety? Every reset is a choice to begin again with wisdom. Are you willing to start this week fresh? Even if last week was heavy, your mind can be renewed before your situation changes. Can you believe that clarity can come before confirmation? When you reset your mind, you remind yourself that you are not behind, you are positioned. How would your posture change if you truly believe that? This is how you step into the week steady, focused, and grounded. What would it look like for you to carry that steadiness into every conversation and decision today? Releasing mental clutter begins with recognizing how crowded your inner space has become. Have you noticed how your thoughts feel full before the day even unfolds? Clutter isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet accumulation of worries, unfinished conversations, and unspoken expectations. What has been taking up space in your mind lately? Mental clutter builds when you keep replaying moments that no longer require your energy. Do you find yourself revisiting situations you cannot change? Those repeated thoughts steal clarity and replace it with heaviness. And heaviness makes even simple decisions feel complicated. Have you felt that weight slowing you down? Clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from releasing what no longer serves your focus. Are you trying to carry everything, because you're afraid of dropping something important? When you let go of unnecessary mental load, you make room for wisdom to surface. Can you imagine how much lighter your thinking would feel? Some thoughts were never meant to be permanent residents. Can you tell the difference between a thought that guides you and one that drains you? When you release mental clutter, you stop negotiating with distraction and start partnering with clarity. What distractions have been quietly negotiating your attention? Spiritual clarity is not mystical, it's practical. It allows you to hear direction without confusion. Have you noticed how noise interferes with discernment? When your mind is cluttered, every option feels urgent, but clarity helps you recognize what truly matters, what decisions are demanding clarity from you right now. Holding onto mental clutter often feels responsible, but it's actually exhausting. Have you mistaken overthinking for preparation? When clarity enters, peace follows, and peace sharpens your perception. Have you ever noticed how calm makes direction easier to recognize? Releasing clutter requires honesty. Are you willing to admit which thoughts have overstayed their welcome? Some thoughts were valid for a season, but are no longer necessary. Can you identify which season has ended in your thinking? Clutter thrives on unresolved emotions. Have you delayed dealing with disappointment, frustration, unmet expectations? When emotions remain unprocessed, they cloud your perspective and distort reality. What emotion might be influencing your decisions more than you realize? Clarity restores order. It organizes your thoughts so you can move with intention. Have you felt scattered even when you're busy doing good things? Being busy without clarity leads to burnout, but clarity brings focus and energy. What would change if your mind felt ordered instead of overwhelmed? Releasing mental clutter is an act of trust. Are you willing to trust that you don't have to figure everything out at once? When you release the need to control outcomes, you gain the ability to respond with wisdom. Can you sense the relief in that exchange? Spiritual clarity allows you to distinguish between pressure and purpose. Have you been responding to pressure instead of following purpose? When clarity is present, you stop chasing every demand and start honoring divine direction. What would it feel like to move without constant urgency? Your mind was designed to process truth, not store confusion. Have you been storing thoughts that were meant to pass through? When clutter accumulates, it dulls sensitivity and slows responsiveness. Have you noticed how hesitation increases when clarity decreases? Letting go of mental clutter doesn't mean letting go of responsibility. It means releasing unnecessary complexity. Are you complicating something that was meant to be simple? Clarity often reveals that the answer was present all along. Can you recall a time when peace made the solution obvious? Clarity brings alignment between thought and action. Have you felt disconnected from your own decisions? When your thoughts are clear, your actions become confident and measured. How would your week look if your decisions flowed from clarity instead of confusion? Mental clutter feeds fatigue, but clarity restores strength. Have you noticed how tiredness lessens when your mind settles? When clarity takes root, your focus sharpens and your energy stabilizes. Can you feel that steadiness becoming possible? Releasing clutter is a daily practice, not a one-time event. Are you willing to choose clarity each morning? Every release creates space for insight, direction, and peace. What are you ready to let go of today so clarity can lead you forward? Realigning your focus with divine purpose begins when you recognize that distraction is not always obvious. Have you noticed how easy it is to stay busy yet feel misaligned? Purpose doesn't disappear. It gets overshadowed by competing priorities. What has been competing for your attention lately? When your focus drifts, your energy follows. Have you felt tired even when you haven't done anything physically demanding? That fatigue often comes from being mentally pulled in too many directions. Can you sense how clarity returns when your focus narrows? Divine purpose requires intentional alignment. It doesn't force itself into your schedule. Are you making room for it or expecting it to fit around everything else? When focus is scattered, purpose feels distant, but when focus is aligned, purpose feels present. What would alignment look like for you right now? Sometimes misalignment doesn't come from rebellion, but from overload. Have you said yes to too many things that sound good, but don't serve your assignment? Purpose thrives when you learn to distinguish between what is urgent and what is essential. Are you responding to noise or responding to direction? Realignment often starts with reevaluating motives. Why are you doing what you're doing? When motives drift, focus follows, and suddenly your actions feel hollow. Have you noticed joy decreasing as pressure increases? When you align your focus with divine purpose, decisions become clearer. Have you ever felt peace immediately after choosing alignment? That peace is confirmation, not coincidence. Can you recall a moment when clarity followed obedience? Purpose doesn't shout, it invites. Are you listening or rushing past the invitation? When your focus is aligned, you stop forcing outcomes and start flowing with direction. What outcomes have you been forcing lately? Realignment requires letting go of distractions that feel productive. Have you been hiding behind business? Activity without alignment drains strength, but purpose restores it. Can you feel the difference between being active and being aligned? Your focus determines what grows. Have you been feeding distractions more than purpose? What you consistently focus on shapes your perception and influences your decisions. What has your focus been shaping in your life? When focus is misaligned, even success feels empty. Have you experienced accomplishment without fulfillment? That emptiness is a signal, not a failure. It's an invitation to realign. Are you willing to listen to that signal? Divine purpose brings coherence. It connects your past, present, and future. Have you felt fragmented or disjointed lately? When alignment happens, things start making sense without strain. Can you imagine functioning without constant inner tension? Realignment doesn't mean abandoning everything. It means adjusting direction. Are you open to correction without feeling condemned? Purpose-led focus refines rather than restricts. What adjustments might bring greater peace? When your focus aligns with purpose, distractions lose their appeal. Have you noticed how clarity changes your desires? What once seemed urgent no longer demands your attention. What has recently lost its grip on you? Purpose alignment requires surrender. Are you willing to release control to gain clarity? When you stop trying to manage outcomes, you gain the ability to follow direction. Can you trust that alignment will guide you? Focus aligned with divine purpose produces consistency. Have you struggled with inconsistency in motivation? When focus is aligned, effort feels lighter and progress steadier. Can you sense how alignment stabilizes your momentum? Realignment often happens in quiet moments. Are you creating space to hear direction? Noise masks purpose, but stillness reveals it. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be still? When your focus is aligned, your confidence increases, not because everything is perfect, but because direction is clear. Have you felt more confident when you knew you were on the right path? That confidence fuels endurance and resilience. What would endurance look like for you this week? Purpose alignment restores meaning to routine. Have daily tasks felt monotonous or draining? When focus is aligned, even ordinary actions carry significance. Can you see how purpose transforms perspective? Realigning your focus is a daily choice. Are you willing to choose purpose over pressure today? Each decision to align strengthens your awareness and sharpens your discernment. What choice can you make right now to move closer to alignment? When focus and purpose meet, momentum follows. Have you noticed progress accelerating when clarity is present? Alignment reduces resistance and increases flow. Can you imagine your week unfolding with less effort and more intention? Purpose alignment anchors you when circumstances shift. Have you felt unsettled by changes around you? When your focus is anchored, external changes don't destabilize your inner direction. What would it mean for you to remain steady regardless of what shifts around you? Realignment reconnects you to why you began. Have you forgotten your original passion? When you remember your why, focus sharpens and motivation returns. Can you feel that passion stirring again as alignment takes place? When your focus aligns with divine purpose, your life begins to move in harmony rather than haste. Are you ready to let alignment guide your steps today? Activating inner strength through intentional prayer begins when you understand that prayer is not a ritual, but a strategy. Have you been approaching prayer out of habit or with expectation? When prayer becomes intentional, it shifts from routine words to focused alignment. What are you expecting to change when you pray? Inner strength is not something you wait to feel, it's something you activate. Have you noticed that strength often shows up after you decide, not before? Intentional prayer positions your mind and spirit to draw from a deeper reserve. Are you praying from need or from authority? Many people pray reactively only when pressure rises. Do you find yourself praying more when things feel out of control? Intentional prayer happens before the pressure peaks, fortifying you in advance. What would it look like to pray before the challenge appears? Prayer sharpens awareness. It reminds you that you are not operating alone. Have you ever felt calmer simply because you paused to pray? That calm is not weakness. It's strength being activated. Can you sense the difference between emotional relief and spiritual reinforcement? Inner strength grows when prayer becomes specific. Are your prayers focused or scattered? When you pray with intention, your thoughts align and your confidence increases. Have you noticed how clarity emerges when your prayer has direction? Intentional prayer shifts your posture from survival to authority. Are you praying hoping something changes or declaring alignment before it does? Strength is reinforced when prayer is rooted in trust rather than fear. What tone has your prayer carried lately? Sometimes inner strength feels depleted because prayer has become passive. Have you been waiting for motivation instead of engaging discipline? Intentional prayer doesn't wait for emotion. It creates momentum. Can you imagine how consistency would strengthen you? Prayer activates resilience. It steadies you when circumstances fluctuate. Have you noticed how prayer changes your response even when the situation stays the same? That steadiness is evidence of inner strength rising. How would your reactions change if prayer anchored you first? When prayer is intentional, it interrupts negative cycles. Have you been repeating the same worries without realizing it? Prayer refocuses your attention and redirects your thoughts. What cycle are you ready to interrupt today? Inner strength is reinforced when prayer becomes a priority rather than a last resort. Where does prayer fit into your daily rhythm? When prayer comes first, pressure loses its intensity. Can you feel how preparation changes perspective? Intentional prayer strengthens your inner voice. Are you able to distinguish guidance from noise? When prayer clears the inner space, direction becomes easier to recognize. Have you experienced moments when prayer brought immediate clarity? Prayer is not about escaping reality. It's about engaging it with strength. Have you ever finished praying and felt more capable instead of less concerned? That readiness is inner strength being activated. What challenge feels more manageable after prayer? When you pray intentionally, you stop outsourcing your peace to circumstances. Have you been waiting for things to settle before you feel calm? Prayer allows calm to exist before resolution. Can you see how that shifts your emotional balance? Inner strength grows when prayer is honest. Are you allowing yourself to be real in prayer? Authentic prayer releases tension and restores confidence. Have you noticed relief when you stop filtering your words? Intentional prayer trains your focus. It teaches your mind where to rest. Have distractions been stealing your attention during prayer? Each time you return your focus, you strengthen discipline. Can you sense that discipline building over time? Prayer activates endurance. It sustains you through prolonged seasons. Have you been tired not because of effort, but because of uncertainty? Intentional prayer renews stamina by reaffirming purpose. What purpose needs to be reaffirmed in you today? Inner strength is often quiet, not dramatic. Have you overlooked the subtle strength growing within you? Prayer nurtures that quiet confidence. Can you feel assurance replacing anxiety? When prayer becomes intentional, it aligns your inner world with your outward actions. Have you felt disconnected between what you pray and how you live? Alignment restores integrity and strength. What alignment are you seeking right now? Intentional prayer empowers you to respond wisely rather than react emotionally. Have emotions been driving your decisions lately? Prayer creates space between stimulus and response. Can you appreciate how that space protects you? Inner strength increases when prayer is consistent. Are you relying on occasional moments or daily engagement? Strength compounds over time through repetition. How would daily intentional prayer reshape your resilience? Prayer anchors you. When outcomes are uncertain, have unknowns been unsettling you? Intentional prayer doesn't eliminate uncertainty. It stabilizes you within it. Can you sense stability becoming available to you? Activating inner strength through prayer requires commitment. Are you willing to show up even when you don't feel like it? Each intentional moment builds capacity. What strength are you ready to activate right now through prayer? Stepping into the week with calm authority and confidence begins when you realize that authority is not loud, it is settled. Have you noticed how the most confident people don't rush to prove themselves? Calm authority flows from inner assurance, not external validation. Have you been looking for confirmation outside when it was meant to rise from within? Confidence is not the absence of challenges. It's the presence of clarity. Have you ever felt calm even when circumstances were uncertain? That calm is a signal that you are grounded. Can you sense the difference between peace and avoidance? When you carry calm authority, you enter situations without tension. Do you feel pressure to defend or explain yourself too quickly? Authority doesn't argue, it stands. What would change if you trusted your position more? Many people confuse urgency with importance. Have you been rushing because everything feels critical? Calm authority slows your pace without delaying progress. Can you imagine moving forward without feeling pushed? Confidence grows when you know who you are and why you're there. Have you questioned your place or role lately? When identity is clear, confidence becomes natural. What reminders do you need to reaffirm your identity? Stepping into the week with calm authority means refusing to carry unnecessary stress. Have you been holding responsibility that isn't yours? Authority includes discernment. Can you tell the difference between what you should carry and what you should release? When confidence is rooted, your voice changes. Have you noticed how certainty affects the way you speak? Calm authority communicates without force. How would your conversations shift if you spoke from assurance instead of pressure? Authority doesn't rush decisions, it waits for clarity. Have you felt compelled to decide too quickly? Confidence allows patience without fear. Can you trust timing without losing momentum? Calm authority keeps you steady when others are unsettled. Have you noticed how emotions spread in environments? When you are calm, you become an anchor. Are you willing to be that stabilizing presence? Confidence doesn't require perfection. Have you delayed action waiting to feel fully ready? Calm authority